She said, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I have been with my wife for about 9 years, married for 6. We met at a mutual friend's house party in our mid-20s. I wasn't really looking for a relationship at the time. I had just gotten out of a rough breakup, and she was this warm, funny, self-deprecating person who had the ability to make me laugh even when I was sulking in a corner. We exchanged numbers that night, started texting nonstop, and within a few weeks we were basically inseparable. We moved in together after about a year. I proposed on a trip to the mountains a few years later. She cried, said yes, and it felt like the happiest moment of my life. The wedding was small but beautiful, nothing fancy, just close family and friends. People always said we seemed like that couple who would go the distance. And honestly, for a long time I believed it. Our relationship wasn't perfect. Whose is? But I thought it was solid. We didn't have explosive fights. We had our routines, Friday night takeout and Netflix, Sunday morning farmer's market, little road trips every couple of months. She was the more outgoing one, the planner, the social connector. I was quieter, more of a homebody, but I loved that she pulled me out of my shell. But here's where the cracks started showing. Though I didn't see them at the time, about 2 years ago, she started taking on a lot more responsibility at work. She got promoted, which I was super proud of her for, but it meant long hours and her being stressed more often. Around the same time, I noticed she seemed less present with me. She'd come home exhausted, flop on the couch and scroll her phone. I chalked it up to work stress. Sex slowed down too. We used to be really compatible in that department, but then it became once every couple weeks, sometimes longer. When I'd initiate, she'd usually say she was tired or that her mind was elsewhere. I didn't want to push, so I'd just roll over and tell myself it was a phase. Fast forward to about 6 months ago. We were sitting at dinner, and out of nowhere she says, "Do you ever feel like we're just roommates?" I laughed at first, thinking she was joking, but she looked dead serious. She said she still loved me, but she missed feeling excited, missed the butterflies. I was caught off guard and basically said something like, "Every relationship changes over time, right? We're not 25 anymore, but that doesn't mean it's bad." She nodded but didn't look convinced. After that conversation, I started trying harder, planning date nights, suggesting little weekend trips, putting more effort into compliments and intimacy. Sometimes it worked. We'd have a great night and laugh like old times, but other times she seemed distant. Like her body was there, but her mind was somewhere else. Then came the moment. About 3 weeks ago, we were sitting on the couch after dinner. I don't even remember what we were watching. She muted the TV, turned to me and said very calmly, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you." I swear to God, it felt like the floor disappeared. At first, I didn't even understand what she meant. I asked her to explain, and she said she cares about me deeply, that she'll always love me, that I'm her best friend and family. But the spark, the romantic feeling, was gone. She said she didn't know when it disappeared, but she realized she couldn't keep pretending it was still there. I sat there like an idiot, trying to process. My heart was pounding in my ears. I asked if there was someone else. She swore up and down that there wasn't, and I believe her. She's never been shady with her phone, never secretive. She said it wasn't about another person, just about us. I asked if she wanted a divorce. She said she didn't know. She said part of her wants to try counseling to see if we can rebuild. But part of her also feels like it's unfair to me, like I deserve someone who is in love with me. Since that night, I feel like I've been living in some kind of limbo. We still live together. We still do normal couple things, cook dinner, walk the dog, talk about our days. But now everything feels hollow. Every time she smiles at me, I hear those words again. Every time she kisses me goodnight, I wonder if she's just going through the motions. We've had a couple more talks since then, but nothing that makes me feel more secure. She repeats the same thing. She loves me, but not in the same way anymore. That she wants to be honest rather than fake it. She says she feels guilty because I'm a good husband and I haven't done anything wrong. And here's the thing. I keep asking myself, am I supposed to fight for this? Or am I supposed to accept that it's over? I know marriages go through rough patches. I know being in love changes over time. But I also know you can't force someone to feel something they don't. My friends are divided. One buddy told me to cut my losses now, because once someone says they're not in love with you, the writing's on the wall. Another friend said lots of couples go through this and counseling can help, and maybe she's just depressed or burnt out. Meanwhile, I'm just stuck. I feel like I've been sucker punched. Every morning I wake up with this pit in my stomach. I go to work, I function, but the second I'm alone, my brain spirals. I keep replaying our history in my head, the way she used to look at me, the trips we took, the night she said yes to my proposal. Was all of that real? Did she ever actually love me the way I thought she did? I'm writing this here because I don't know what to do. I love my wife. I don't want to lose her, but I also don't want to spend years begging someone to love me back. So yeah, that's where I'm at. She said, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And I don't know how to move forward. So after that night, things didn't just magically fall back into place. If anything, they've felt more broken ever since. I keep catching myself studying her face, her body language, like I'm trying to find some clue in there that will tell me whether this is salvageable or not. I've always thought of myself as a rational guy, but lately I feel like I'm coming apart in small, stupid ways. I'll be in the middle of a meeting at work and suddenly get hit with this wave of panic like, holy shit, my wife doesn't love me anymore. My chest tightens up and I have to excuse myself to the bathroom just to breathe. She's not acting cold exactly. That's what's so confusing. She still hugs me when she leaves for work. She still texts me updates about her day. Last weekend, she even brought home my favorite pastry from this bakery she knows I love. On the surface, it looks like a normal marriage. But under it all, I feel like we're pretending. Like we're actors playing the roles of husband and wife without the real emotions behind it. A couple nights after her confession, I asked her again if she wanted to try couples counseling. She said yes, she's willing. That gave me a flicker of hope. But then she added, I don't want to give you false hope either. Counseling might help, but it might also just confirm that we've grown apart. That second part gutted me. I made the call anyway and scheduled our first appointment. It's in 2 weeks. The wait feels like an eternity. In the meantime, I did the stupid thing. I started Googling. Every variation of I love you, but I'm not in love with you that you can imagine. Forums, articles, podcasts. Half the people say it's the kiss of death for a marriage. The other half say it's just a symptom of long-term relationships losing novelty, and that with effort and therapy it can come back. Reading all that just makes me more confused because I can find evidence to support whatever conclusion my brain feels like jumping to that hour. I finally told my best friend, let's call him Dave. We've known each other since high school, and he's the kind of guy who will always give it to me straight. His reaction was basically, dude, that's brutal. But you've got to be realistic. Once someone says that, it usually doesn't end well. He thinks I should prepare myself for divorce rather than clinging to false hope. Then I told my sister, who's a lot more optimistic. She said, you guys have been together almost a decade. Of course, the honeymoon feelings fade. That doesn't mean love is gone. Maybe she's just depressed or going through a phase. Counseling could really help. Two completely opposite takes, and I swing between them daily. And then there's my parents. I haven't told them yet, but I know I'm going to have to if things keep heading in this direction. They adore my wife. They've always called her their second daughter. The idea of telling them she doesn't love me anymore makes me feel like I've failed somehow, like I let them down too. Since that night, I've also started analyzing every memory we have. I'll be brushing my teeth and suddenly think of our honeymoon, how she laughed when we got caught in the rain, how she held my hand under the table at dinner. Were those real feelings? Or was she just performing what she thought she was supposed to feel? It's maddening. We've had a few more conversations, but they all circle back to the same script. She insists there's no other man. She insists she cares deeply about me. She insists she doesn't want to hurt me, but she doesn't want to lie either. I appreciate her honesty, but it's like being handed a knife wrapped in pretty paper. One night I finally broke down and asked her, point blank, do you even want to try to fall back in love with me? She paused for a long time before answering. Then she said, I don't know. Part of me does, but part of me thinks it's selfish to keep you tied to me if I can't give you what you deserve. That I don't know echoes in my head constantly. The weirdest part is how normal everything else looks. We still walk the dog together every evening. We still talk about what groceries to buy. We still send each other dumb TikToks. But it's like there's this giant invisible wall between us now. I keep thinking, what's the point of laughing at a meme together if she doesn't love me? And of course my brain goes to dark places. I imagine us in 5 years, still together but hollow, just coexisting in the same house. Or I imagine her finally deciding to leave, and me sitting alone in this apartment, staring at the empty couch where she used to sit. Both futures terrify me. I've tried to be proactive. I suggested we plan a date night, something fun and different. She agreed, so we went bowling last Friday. And you know what? For a couple hours, it felt almost normal. She laughed. She teased me about how terrible my aim was. We shared nachos. Driving home, I thought maybe, just maybe, we could find our way back. But then when we got into bed that night, she rolled over and gave me a polite kiss on the cheek. And the pit in my stomach came roaring back. The intimacy is basically gone now. It's not just about sex, though that's almost non-existent. It's about the little things. She used to reach for my hand automatically when we walked down the street. She used to curl up against me on the couch. Now it feels like she's cautious, like she's keeping a physical buffer. When I tried to cuddle up to her one morning, she stiffened just slightly before relaxing. That split second told me everything. I can't even describe the kind of self-doubt this has unleashed in me. I find myself standing in front of the mirror, wondering if I've gotten too soft around the middle, if my hairline is making me look older, if I'm just boring. I've started going to the gym more, eating cleaner, not because she asked me to, but because I'm desperately trying to make myself desirable again. It's pathetic, I know. Here's something else. I caught myself snooping. I never thought I'd be that guy. But one night when she was in the shower, I looked through her phone. I know it was wrong. I needed to know if there was someone else. But there was nothing. No secret texts, no suspicious calls, just group chats with her coworkers and her sister. That almost made it worse because it meant her feelings really are what she says they are. This isn't about cheating or betrayal. It's just about her not loving me anymore. I haven't told her I looked, obviously. I feel gross about it. The nights are the hardest. She falls asleep quickly, but I lie awake staring at the ceiling. My brain won't stop spinning scenarios. What if counseling works? What if it doesn't? What if she leaves? What if she stays out of pity? Sometimes I sneak out to the couch so I don't disturb her tossing and turning. Our dog will come curl up at my feet, and I'll just sit there in the dark, petting him and trying not to cry. People say time heals, but right now time feels like the enemy. Every day that passes feels like another day closer to losing her. I don't know if I'm the asshole for wanting to hold on when she's already halfway out the door. I don't know if I'm deluding myself by thinking counseling can fix this. I don't know if I'm just too scared of being alone to let her go. All I know is I love her. And I'd give anything for her to look at me the way she used to. So, counseling. We finally had our first session last week. I didn't even realize how nervous I was until I was sitting in the waiting room, knees bouncing like I was a teenager waiting to get called into the principal's office. She sat next to me, scrolling her phone, calm as anything. I kept sneaking glances at her, wondering how she could look so composed while I felt like I was about to puke. The therapist was this middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a very direct way of speaking. She asked us to introduce ourselves, talk about why we were there. My wife went first. She said, "I love him, but I'm not in love with him anymore. I don't want to hurt him, but I don't know if I can get that feeling back." Hearing her say it out loud in front of a stranger made it hit harder. Like it wasn't just a private crisis anymore, it was real, written in permanent marker. When it was my turn, I said something like, "I feel blindsided. I thought we were solid. Now I feel like the rug's been pulled out from under me, and I don't know if I should fight for this or let it go." My voice cracked on that last part, which was humiliating, but the therapist didn't flinch. She just nodded like she'd heard it all before. The session was intense. The therapist asked us about how we met, the good times, the struggles, when things started to change. My wife admitted she'd been feeling disconnected for a while but didn't know how to say it. She said she kept hoping the feelings would come back on their own. I wanted to scream, "Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why did you let me keep believing everything was fine?" But I just sat there swallowing the anger because I didn't want to drive her further away. At one point, the therapist asked her directly, "Do you want to try to rekindle the romantic side of your marriage, or do you feel like you're done?" My wife hesitated for a long time. Then she said, "I don't know. That was like being stabbed with an icicle, sharp and cold." The therapist suggested we do some homework, little exercises to reconnect, like sharing one thing we appreciate about each other every day and scheduling intentional time together without screens. She said it might feel forced at first, but that sometimes love has to be nurtured back. We agreed to try. That was a week ago. Since then, we've been doing the appreciation exercise. She'll say things like, "I appreciate that you made dinner tonight," or "I appreciate that you walked the dog so I could rest." And I'll say things like, I appreciate that you remembered my meeting and asked how it went. On paper, it's nice. In practice, it feels like we're robots reading off a script. I keep waiting for it to feel real, but it doesn't yet. The intentional time together has been a mixed bag. One night we played a board game and actually laughed. Another night we tried cooking a new recipe together and it was fine, but not electric. Then there are the nights where she just looks exhausted and checks out halfway through. And through it all, I keep asking myself, am I fighting for a marriage? Or am I fighting to keep from being alone? Because here's the thing. I've started imagining life without her. Not because I want to, but because my brain won't stop. I picture myself in an empty apartment, coming home to silence. I picture dating again in my 30s, fumbling through apps, making small talk with strangers. The idea makes me sick. She's been my person for so long. How do you start over from zero? But then I also picture us staying together like this, her lukewarm, me desperate, and I feel sick in a different way. There was one night last week that really broke me. We were in bed, and I tried to initiate intimacy. Nothing pushy, just kissing, touching, hoping she'd respond. She kissed me back politely, then whispered, "I'm sorry, I'm not in the mood." That part isn't unusual. But what gutted me was the look in her eyes. It wasn't rejection exactly, but it was pity. Like she felt bad for me, like I was asking for something she couldn't give. I rolled over and stared at the wall until the sun came up. The next morning, I snapped. Not yelling, but I asked her straight out, "Do you even want to be with me anymore?" She froze, then said, "I don't know." Again, with the "I don't know." I said, "Do you realize what that does to me, hearing that over and over?" She said she didn't want to lie to me, that pretending everything was fine would be worse. I lost it then. Not yelling, but crying. Full-on ugly, can't-breathe sobbing. I told her I felt like I was dying inside, like every day I was waiting for the axe to fall. She cried too, but she didn't say the words I needed. She didn't say, "I want to stay." She didn't say, "I'll try." She just held me and whispered, "I'm sorry. That's the thing that keeps killing me. She's not cruel. She's not angry, she's not unfaithful. She's just gone emotionally. Like the lights are still on, but nobody's home." I've talked to Dave again, and he's more convinced than ever that I should walk. "She's giving you breadcrumbs, man. You deserve more than pity scraps." My sister, on the other hand, says, "The fact that she's still willing to go to counseling means she cares. If she didn't, she'd be out the door already." Two opposing views, both kind of valid, both tearing me in half. Work has started to suffer. I zone out in meetings. My boss pulled me aside to ask if everything was okay. I lied and said I was just tired. How do you explain to someone that your entire life feels like it's unraveling because your spouse doesn't love you anymore? I've also noticed I'm drinking more. Nothing crazy, but a couple beers every night have turned into 3 or 4. It takes the edge off, but it also makes me feel pathetic, like I'm numbing myself instead of facing reality. The therapist wants us to talk about our love languages next session. Mine is physical touch, no surprise there. Hers is acts of service, but lately neither of us seems capable of giving the other what they need. I crave closeness and she pulls back. She wants help and support, and I'm so drained emotionally that even unloading the dishwasher feels like climbing Everest. The dog is the only one keeping me sane. He doesn't care if I'm desirable or not, if I'm in love or just loved. He just wants belly rubs and treats. Sometimes I think he's the only creature in this house who still looks at me with uncomplicated affection. I don't know how this ends. The optimist in me wants to believe counseling can reignite something. The pessimist in me thinks she's already halfway out the door and just too guilty to leave yet. And me? I'm stuck in the middle, torn between fighting for us and protecting myself. Last night, she said something that's been replaying in my head nonstop. We were cleaning up after dinner, and I said, "I miss us." She sighed and said, "I miss us too. But I don't know if we can ever get back there." I went to bed early just so she wouldn't see me cry again. I feel like I'm living in a ghost marriage. She's here, but she's not here. And I don't know how long I can live in this limbo without breaking completely. We just had our 3rd counseling session, and I think I finally see where this is going. The session started off fine, with the therapist asking about our homework. We'd done the appreciation exercise. Though, if I'm being honest, it still felt mechanical. My wife said she appreciated that I'd been making an effort, that I'd been patient. I said I appreciated that she was at least showing up to these sessions. It all felt polite, surface level. Then the therapist asked a harder question. Do you both see a future together? And if so, what does that future look like? I said yes immediately. I said I wanted us to grow old together, to get through this slump and come out stronger. I admitted I was scared, but that I believed love is more than a feeling. It's a choice, and I wanted to choose her every day. When it was her turn, she went quiet. Then she said, I don't know if I see us together in 10 years. I don't know if I see us together even in 5. That hit me like a wrecking ball. My chest physically hurt. The therapist asked her to elaborate, and she said, I love him. I care about him deeply. But I don't feel the same way I used to. And I don't know if it's fair to keep him tied to me when he deserves someone who looks at him the way he wants to be looked at. I didn't cry in the office, but I felt the tears burning behind my eyes. I clenched my hands together so hard my nails left marks in my palms. After the session, the car ride home was silent. I wanted to scream, beg, demand answers. Instead, I just drove. When we got home, she went to take a shower, and I sat in the kitchen staring at the wall. That night, I finally said the words I'd been avoiding. Do you want a divorce? She froze. Then she whispered, I think maybe we should separate, at least for a while. There it was. The axe falling. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just nodded. And then I went into the bathroom, turned on the shower so she wouldn't hear, and cried until my whole body hurt. We've been living in this weird, quiet limbo for the past week since that conversation. We agreed to take some time apart. She's moving in with her sister for a bit. I'm staying here with the dog. The plan is to reassess in a few months. But in my gut, I know what that really means. It means she's already gone. The last few days have been brutal. Watching her pack up clothes, toiletries, little things from around the house. Every item she put in a bag felt like a nail in the coffin. I kept wanting to say, stop, please don't go, we can fix this. But the words stuck in my throat. Because the truth is, you can't fix something if only one person wants to. The night before she left, we sat on the couch together. I asked her one more time, was it all real? Did you ever love me the way I thought you did? She grabbed my hand, tears in her eyes, and said, of course I did. I loved you so much. I still love you, just not in the way you need me to. That answer broke me and comforted me at the same time. At least I know I wasn't crazy, that what we had was real once. It just didn't last. She moved out yesterday. The apartment feels impossibly empty. Her shoes aren't by the door. Her jacket isn't on the hook. Her coffee mug isn't in the sink. It's like living in a museum of our life, with all the artifacts but none of the presents. The dog keeps wandering to the bedroom looking for her. That kills me more than anything. I've been sitting here thinking about everything. The night we met, our wedding, our trips, the way she used to laugh at my dumb jokes. And then the slow unraveling. The late nights at work, the distance, the confession. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Those words have carved themselves into me. I know some people will say I should be angry, that I should hate her for stringing me along, for not speaking up sooner, and maybe one day I will feel that anger. But right now all I feel is grief. Grief for the life I thought we'd have. Grief for the woman who was once my everything. Grief for the version of me who believed love was enough. I don't know what the future looks like now. I'm 34, newly separated, terrified of being alone. Part of me wonders if I'll ever find that kind of connection again. Part of me wonders if I even want to try. The one thing I do know is that I can't keep living in limbo. As much as it hurts, clarity is better than the constant, I don't know. At least now I know where I stand. Alone, but not dangling. So here I am, writing this on a throwaway account to strangers on the internet. Am I the asshole for wanting to hold on when she'd already let go? Am I the asshole for feeling like love should be enough, even when it clearly wasn't for her? Or am I just another guy who got hit with the worst sentence in a marriage? I love you, but I'm not in love with you.